and now they want to sanction Jamie Heath because he hasn't shown them the entire video of his wife giving birth to their child.
Yeah, we've lost some talk.
Hi and welcome to Philosophy Talk. I'm Kjersti Flor, journalist, Hollywood truth teller, and your voice of reason in a town built on delusion. Happy Halloween, everyone. Oscar is so terrified of this mask. He is in hiding right now. Poor little boy. I feel like that's so appropriate today for what I'm going to talk about. Pigs, basically, which is what I think Blake Lively's lawyers are at this point. Their filing today is so shocking, you guys. You won't believe that they just did. It's all about that birthing scene, remember that one? And now they want to sanction Jamie Heath because he hasn't shown them the entire video of his wife giving birth to their child. It's so beyond any logic, as it usually is with Blake's filings. I also found this behind the scenes video showing how Blake was engaging with Jamie Heath and his wife on the set with It Ends With Us, and we'll get into what that actually means. And the judge did a final ruling on Blake Lively's case and also the New York Times case. This is interesting. Anyways, we also have to talk a little bit about Prince Andrew being stripped of the royal title and how Prince Harry now is worried that he's going to be next. Okay, so I think this is about the 7th or 8th time that Blake actually files for sanctions. She wants to punish the Wayfair parties, and this time is Jamie Heath. The reason for that is that birthing scene, remember that? There's been a lot of talk about that. I think this is like her strongest evidence now of what she has left of her SH claims. So she was claiming in her original lawsuit that she was shown a video by Jamie Heath that she felt was corn. She said she wasn't warned, and he showed this video of a woman laying there with no clothing on, and she was shocked, and she just walked away from it. Basically, that's very different from the story that Jamie Heath told, the stories that was in their filings, where he explained that it was during lunch, and that Baldoni suggested to Jamie that he should show Blake Lively a video of his wife giving birth as inspiration for the scene they were shooting of Blake giving birth. So this was for creative inspiration. He showed her a clip and Blake asked him, "Is your wife okay with this?" And he said yes. And then Blake had said that, "I'll just finish my lunch first." And then they ended up not showing more of that video. But according to Blake, that really traumatized her. And this now seems to be the major evidence that she has in this case. So what they're saying in this filing is that Jamie Heath gave them a video, but only 3 minutes and 29 seconds. They want the entire video because they're saying that Blake can't recall what part of the video that he actually showed her that was so disturbing to her. And the video that they have at this point doesn't show what she can remember that he showed her. They're also saying here that because they're asked for this and Jamie didn't respond or he didn't give it to them, the judge should allow them to sanction Jamie Heath, to punish him for that. And they're also saying because of this, he should not be able to explain in court any context of the situation of when he showed that video to Blake. It is so insane. So first of all, this video, as you know, is a birthing scene of a woman giving birth to a child. There's nothing about a pregnant woman giving birth that says corn to me. Also, you have to keep in mind, Blake really needs some headlines right now. And I feel like the only reason for them to file this is because Blake wants some headlines now connecting Baldoni, Heath, and corn together. So all the people who only read headlines, which is a lot of people, will start connecting those things again and saying like, yeah, they were all pigs on set. And of course, we're not going to read until later in any story that it was actually a birthing video. Anyways, this whole filing, there's so many blanks here, which also I think is a bit suspicious. Like, what are they hiding here? I don't know, they're trying to protect someone, or they just want us to believe that it's so sensitive, everything in this filing, that we will start believing that it's something major that they're hiding here. And the thing is, whatever angle Blake was shown, it doesn't say anything different than a woman giving birth. But my major problem here is how they're now dragging Jamie Heath's wife and child into this. I can imagine that Jamie Heath's wife was saying to Jamie, you know, it's okay that you show it to Blake for inspiration. But right now she's like, do I want the whole public to see this video? Do I really need that? Do I want it to be shown in front of a jury? My, thing when I was giving birth. I feel that's a very personal thing, and maybe I don't want to share it with the world. So Jamie, please don't share more of that video. That's my guess of what has happened here, that she's like, I don't want to be part of this lawsuit, of course. And I think apart from the PR value of this, I think the only reason Blake is doing is to punish Jamie and to punish his wife and to humiliate them. I mean, to me, thinking about if this is shown to a jury that they will actually see this full footage, all they will see is a woman giving birth. But I think also the reason why Jamie didn't want to give this entire video to her is because he knows Blake Lively is the queen of cherry picking, and she will probably find one little angle of 1 second that looks a little inappropriate, and she'll pick that and say, this is what they showed me. And then she'll show that to the jury and say, look at this. Wouldn't you be shocked if someone showed you this in a workplace? And of course, now when they're saying to the judge, we shouldn't allow Jamie to explain the context or anything that happened here, it would only be from our perspective. That just adds an extra layer to this that makes it even more repulsive. I find it interesting how Blake has been so vocal about supporting other women, and then she does something like this to another woman. Because the person here who's getting punished is Jamie Heath's wife. She's the one who has to give up her privacy here. I can't envision any scenario where the judge would actually allow them to do this. So to me, this whole thing just seems like such a PR stunt. Again, that's what they do these days because they have nothing left. So they're just clinging now to the media to pick up some headlines and write about these things, to continue the smear campaign against Justin Baldoni, Jamie Heath, Steve Sarowitz, and the rest of the Wayfair party in the public eye. And here is another little shocker that I just found out. Thank you, Matteo, for sending me this clip. This is from behind the scenes of It Ends With Us, and guess who Blake is hanging out with? But before we get into that, I wanted to thank the two sponsors of this video, Quince and Jones Road Beauty. You know when you find something that looks designer and then you look at the price tag like this and you're like, wow, that's quite reasonable actually. That's the magic of Quince. I just got these super cool sunglasses that fit my face so perfectly and they were only $50. I also got this silk blouse that feels like it's from some luxury brand. It's soft and flowy and I love this color for fall. Their whole thing is premium quality with no crazy markup. You can get real quality silk, leather, cashmere for way less. My next purchase is definitely going to be this cashmere sweater for $50. Honestly, when you start buying things at Quince, you want to renew your entire wardrobe. And also they have amazing jewelry. I got this necklace from there. Beauty and wellness products, home decor, kitchen, loads of gifts ideas, and really great prices on furniture too. Find your fall staples at Quince. Go to quince.com/Flaw, my last name, FLAA, for free shipping on your order and a 365-day return. And now it's available in Canada too. That's QUENCE.com/Flaw, FLAA. Also a big thank you to Jones Road Beauty for sponsoring this video. After I saw that Bobbi Brown was involved in this, I love that brand. I was super curious to find out more about Jones Road Beauty. And now I'm totally into this miracle balm. You just get your finger in there. I use it on my lips and then I put a little bit on my cheekbones here. And you get that beautiful natural glow that I really like. This color is Dusty Rose, but they have a lot of different colors. What I really like about it is that it's not heavy and cakey that I find a lot of beauty products to be. It just makes you look refreshed, that you had a good night's sleep, or you just went for a walk in the sun. It's perfect for those days when you don't want a full face of makeup and you just want to add a little bit of freshness. And if you're one of those people who like an effortlessly fresh look, you're gonna love this. All you have to do is go to jonesroadbeauty.com and use my code FLAA, F-L-A-A, to get a free cool gloss with your first purchase. That's code FLAA, my last name, at jonesroadbeauty.com. Okay, so let's get back to the madness. So in this video, a behind the scene video of It Ends With Us, you can clearly see Blake Lively, her sister Robin, Justin Baldoni, Jamie Heath, and what I would assume very strongly is his wife. So the five of them are on the stoop talking together, and you can see that Blake is interacting with Jamie Heath's wife. They seem to have a very friendly tone. In the meantime, Justin is just letting Blake run the show by letting her stand up on that stoop taller than everyone else. So he just sits down and let her have the stage. This is, I think, what we've seen throughout every behind the scenes video from the shoot of It Ends With Us. But what I found interesting here is that if Blake was so in shock from watching that video of Jamie Heath's wife, when she really knew the wife, that does just adds another layer of why I don't think that it's even remotely possible that she could have thought that that video was corn. She also probably knows that this woman has given birth to 4 children just like her, and she chooses to go after her like this to have her most intimate and private moment be available for the entire world so she can try and convince people that she felt uncomfortable. Another thing when you watch that video is how many people are on that set. So many people must have known what was going on there. Why haven't more people come out and talked about this if it was such a horrific set? In this behind the scenes video, you can see everyone's laughing. It seems like everyone's getting along. I don't know if this behind the scenes video is from before or after the birthing scene, but I just find it very, very interesting that Blake knew Jamie Heath's wife to this extent, as we see in this video. And she's still claiming that Jamie Heath's wife giving birth to their child was so offensive to her. She put so much emphasis on this birthing scene in her legal complaint as well. I don't know if you remember, but that doctor that played the gynecologist in the scene, she claimed that he was a friend of Baldoni that he just called in so he could have a good look between her legs when she was laying there with no clothing on. Well, he came out publicly, as you remember, to page 6, and he talked about how he don't remember anything the way Blake remembered. And he also said that he's a professional actor and he was hired because he was living in New York. He also knows Baldoni, but the reason why he was hired was because he was a trained actor. In April, he said to page 6 that I'm not going to speculate as to Ms. Lively's motivations for mentioning me in the complaint. Needless to say, my experience working with her is very different than the one she described in her lawsuit. Indeed, I was surprised to read her description of the scene. And here is how she described it. Ms. Lively felt that the selection of Mr. Baldoni's friend for the intimate role in which the actor's face and hands were in close proximity of her nearly blah 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 down there for a birth scene was invasive and humiliating. And then he explains what she was actually wearing in that scene. Her costume included a full hospital gown, black shorts, and torso-covering prosthetic to make her appear pregnant, in addition to whatever personal garment she chose. I mean, you can try to stretch this as far as possible, but there's no way a jury or any sane person is going to look at this and say, yes, this was clearly inappropriate and this was clearly SH. Also, when you look at the behind the scenes footage, there is no way that Blake Lively would not share her opinion about something if she feels uncomfortable. Does she seem like a woman who wouldn't say, hey, this is uncomfortable for me, I need to wear more clothing, can you close that door? Do you think she would just sit there and be a victim and like, oh my God, I feel so abused, I'm not going to say anything because, I don't have any power here. Like, seriously. Anyways, the judge ruled again today, you guys. I'm trying to wrap my head around all these ridiculous rulings. I think it's just so much waste of time. That's my opinion, but I'm not a lawyer. And if things were a little more efficient, then the lawyers would make so much money. So yeah, anyways. So the judge ruled today. He gave a final judgment on Blake Lively's case. If you don't remember, New York Times asked the judge to give a final judgment on their case, which was dismissed at the same time as the Blake Lively case. As you know, Justin sued both New York Times for defamation and Blake Lively for defamation. And both of them were dismissed at the same time by the judge back in, I think it was in May or June. And now New York Times has shown that they're desperate to get like a final stamp on this to say that case is over. Because as you know, New York Times filed another lawsuit against Baldoni asking for legal fees to get covered. And I'm sure they want to use this ruling in that to convince the judge that, hey, this case was dismissed, so here you go, we want to have our legal fees covered. The problem with giving a final judgment was that Blake Lively's case is not really decided on yet because she filed, as you know, for legal fees to be covered, and that's not been decided upon yet. So today, the judge told New York Times that you're not out yet because we have to rule on Blake Lively's motions for legal fees first. So you're still like in limbo in this case, which means that New York Times lawyers need to keep updated on what's happening here as well. Not that they're any part of it per se, but they're not completely out yet. And now the New York Times must be quite annoyed with Blake for filing to get legal fees covered because that keeps them still in this case. The problem for Baldoni with this is that as long as the judge has not said that there is a final ruling here, this is final, he cannot appeal. And this process here can take a long time. It could take like 3 to 5 months before the judge actually makes a decision on Blake Lively's legal fees. That would be even after this thing has gone to trial. So everything is just being postponed all the time. So now Baldoni's team can't really do anything. And as you remember, which shocked a lot of people, I think, is when his case was dismissed, Brian Friedman came out and said, we will fight this. But then they decided not to actually file an amended complaint. One of the reasons for them not to do that might be that they were afraid to get even more sanctions from Blake Lively's team. I don't know. I think it's a little bit of a mystery still because the judge did give them an option to amend some of their claims in their lawsuit. They didn't dismiss the entire thing. They left a few things open to amend, but they decided not to do anything about it. And everyone was like, why aren't they amending the complaint? I'm sure there's some master plan there. We don't know about it yet, but I'm very curious to find out. So the judge now ruled that New York Times cannot get a separate judgment on this. They're still a part of the whole mess, basically. Anyways, crazy legal stuff. I also wanted to talk about this story, which I find quite interesting. The Ankler, which is a newsletter, posted this on their Instagram story today, and they're pointing out the decline of female directors in the industry. They're showing here that it's the lowest in a decade of female directors directing big movies in Hollywood. And I think when you look at what Blake Lively is doing right now, I think it's going to terrify people to work with women. I'm not saying that this case specifically has influenced that, but it's funny how the Ankler is showing some examples of big Hollywood stars who's never worked with a female director. One of them being Ryan Reynolds. He's never worked with a female director. Isn't that quite interesting how he's supporting women, supporting his wife, and then he has never worked with a female director. While Baldoni, on the other hand, and the Wayfarer parties, hired a bunch of female directors. The latest one, Scarlett Johansson, and as you know, Claire Ayub, who I spoke about here on my channel, is another one. There's plenty of them. This is one of their focuses with the production company. Yeah, so who knows how much damage this case will actually cause other female directors, actors, producers, women coming after Blake Lively. Big story yesterday, Prince Andrew is stripped from his royal title after his disgraceful behavior over decades. So you have to remember that Prince Andrew's lifestyle has been subsidized by taxpayers' money, and he's been living in the royal lodge with 30 rooms, acres of lands, and private squadron of deer strolling the property. And now, due to, amongst other things, the Jeffrey Epstein connection, he now has to live in a more modest accommodation on the Sandringham estate, privately founded by King Charles. I don't think the punishment is really harsh here, but this could also open up to maybe criminal charges, who knows. And from now on, he's no longer Prince Andrew, he's now Andrew Mountbatten Windsor. Apparently, Prince Harry didn't know about this, and now he's panicking that he might be next. As you know, there's a very public feud there between Prince Harry and his wife Meghan Markle and the royal family. According to sources here from Rub Shutter, they're saying that Prince Harry's stomach dropped. He thought titles were untouchable. Now he's not so sure. For months, Harry has publicly downplayed the importance of royal styling, but watching one erased in real time shook him. Behind closed doors, insiders say Meghan is equally rattled, worrying that princess branding tied to their children and their Hollywood deals could evaporate. And here, a top Los Angeles strategist is quoted saying that a title isn't sentimental, it's leverage in every negotiation. And a royal expert here is saying that once a palace is willing to demote blood princes, everyone should be nervous. Yes, so let's see how this ends for Prince Harry. Anyways, that's it from you guys. I hope you enjoyed this episode. And again, happy Halloween to everyone. I hope you're having fun today. If you're going trick or treating, or if you're just dressing up, or if you're not dressing up at all, that's fun too, because you don't have to go through all that effort. I'm one of those people. Anyways, if you haven't subscribed yet, please do, and hit the notification bell so you never miss an episode of Flawsome Talk. And I'll see you soon.